Welcome. Welcome to our webinar today around unlocking the power of our EBS, modernising our EBS. So my name's Deborah Lilly, and I think this slide says that I've been doing Oracle for an awfully long time. I think my first EBS implementation was in 1996, 941. And I've spent a lot of my time, all of my Oracle career, doing EBS and then Fusion applications, the cloud applications, since before they even started. But I still spend an awful lot of time with the EBS community. And I work for a company called Inoapps, and we only do Oracle. But we do everything Oracle, and a full range of services, and probably about a third of our customers are EBS. I said on that first slide that I was an Oracle ACE Director, and I want to introduce you to a fellow ACE Director, Mia.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm not going to turn on my camera because I'm a little under the weather. I have strep throat, so I don't need everyone to see my swollen glands and flushed cheeks. But I'm also an Oracle ACE Director who's been in the Oracle world longer than a lady would like to admit, as Deborah said. But I'm also a member of several customer advisory boards, and I speak at various conferences, which is how me and Deborah met. And I work as the CEO of a company called Auraplayer. Next slide. Where basically our core business is to modernize Oracle Forms and Oracle EBS systems to help customers really leverage their existing investments in the next generation. With three basic solutions: API generation, which we'll talk about today, robotic process automation, and a rapid mobilization tool. So we're really excited for you guys to join us as we step through bringing disruptive technologies to EBS without the disruption.
Okay, so first of all, I wanted to start by blasting the myth that EBS is on its way out. I think I wrote a blog about 18 months ago, possibly slightly longer than that. When I first joined Inoapps, they were in the process of purchasing or acquiring a boutique e-business suite managed services in the US with about 100 customers. We probably had another 30 or 40 e-business suite customers ourselves, but what was that strategy? And in my blog, I talked about rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated. There was this feeling in the marketplace that Oracle was binning all of its applications unlimited, its legacy applications, which included e-business suite. And actually, that's just not true. It was what Oracle said originally, that they would replace all of those applications unlimited products with Fusion, but they then moved to this policy whereby they would continue to maintain and enhance those products. But I think the feeling on the street was that it was just inevitable. The time would come and that really Oracle were just standing still. But I think over the last couple of years, customers have recognized that the additional year's support that happens each year isn't because Oracle have realized that people aren't moving and therefore they better give them another year's support. It's a rolling year. So it's always 10 years. So each year it rolls forward another year because there is no strategic date in mind. There is no intention of removing EBS. It is still running some of the most important organizations in the globe. So EBS is going nowhere. So that was the myth that was behind people not doing an awful lot. But I think that the community, the EBS user community, have woken up now to the fact, and not just woken up to the fact, but been proven by Oracle that they are still looking after and enhancing eBusiness Suite. I spend a lot of my time with customers determining what their roadmap is. Should they put their applications on cloud, or should they move to cloud applications? And I did this as a webcast about a year ago, but I'm going to rerun it in the next couple of months because it's something that we do a lot with our customers, and I was really privileged to be asked to do this at Cloud World in Vegas just a few months ago. But one of the things that we look at there is, should you stay on eBusiness Suite? And for a lot of people, the answer is yes. And the reason the answer is yes is because that they've invested so much in what they've added to the system, or in how they've tailored it to work for their particular organization. So that's what we're going to look at today, is if you've made that decision to stay on eBusiness Suite, is there anything that you can do today to move that forward? Now, the first challenge around that is that eBusiness Suite is legacy technology. Both of us introduced ourselves as saying that we've been working with eBusiness Suite for a long time, and obviously it was written before we started, so the tools that are in use are pretty ancient. Okay? And they weren't designed for the modern development tools that we have today. They were written in Oracle forms, and then later I've written ADF here, and I didn't mean that, I meant OAF, but the technology isn't up to date. And also, when it was written, it didn't have REST APIs. Not because Oracle didn't want them, but because REST APIs didn't exist there. So that's our first challenge that we've got here. I'm horrified that I've got that wrong on my slide, but never mind. But you understand the point. The technology that this was written in is old. Now, has Oracle sat still? No, they haven't. You will, if you've been an EBS user for a long time, or your organization has, you will see that over the years there has been a series of UI enhancements to make the user interface much better for the end users. But over the last 5-ish years, the real investment in Oracle has been in the enterprise command centers. And this is where, you know, one of the things that you get in the cloud application that people loved was having data pushed to you. eBusiness Suite is very, very good at collecting data, but does have some challenges in how it returns that data. And what enterprise command centers have done is used more modern technology to give you some of that ability that you get in the cloud, where data can be given to you, but also allow you to navigate through that data. I like to say that ECC helps you to answer the questions you didn't know that you had in your operational reporting. And it's using new technology, in-memory indexes, which allow you to navigate through that data that you've got. So Oracle haven't stood still. They have done these things to modernize it. But what else can we do? We all live in a world where we actually want to do more with the applications that we have. So Mia, how do you see that business need?
Yeah, so basically, we've been working, first I worked for Oracle in support of Oracle Forms. And we really saw that customers were really heavily invested in their back office systems, right? So they've spent decades building custom business logic, custom methodologies, and really having that business logic trapped in the form itself, right? A lot of people didn't work with very database-centric applications. They kind of coded triggers and all the functions into the buttons of the form, into the fields in the form. So they're really highly customized applications. And therefore now when it's all about moving to SaaS-based applications, poses a huge legacy modernization challenge, right? It's kind of like trying to take the sauce off the spaghetti, right? It's been mixed in, and to really start doing reverse engineer for these systems, these systems are now running mission critical operations for, Fortune 500 businesses. It's not like we could take 2 years off and really, redevelop these systems. Companies are reliant on some standard APIs, but those standard APIs aren't including their flex fields and sometimes also other fields. A lot of people work in EBS very differently, right? Some people work with organizations, some people work with warehousing, some people work with lots, some people don't, with lot numbers. So, really a lot of people took EBS as like a template and built in, their whole range of customization. So, to be able to really develop custom DBA APIs or use Oracle standard APIs were really a huge challenge. So really our goal today is to see how we could capture that EBS functionality to leverage our existing investments, including our customizations and personalizations, to next generation functionality, whether that be chat, automation, or refresh the UI. Next slide. So basically the next generation requirements, right? If we look at what a system requires today, right? They require a modernized user interface or user experience, right? So that means clean, easily understandable, doesn't require a lot of training, something that users could automatically look at and know how to run the system, have mobility, right? Especially with COVID and everything else, we saw how important it is for people to be able to run systems remotely on the go, whether it's with using scanner capabilities in the warehousing or enabling customers self-service using chat. We saw with ECC that people are really looking to use unified views of data, really to understand their data. And the more data that's being generated with machine learning, et cetera, that people are going to really want to have kind of these unified views or dashboards of data within their EBS, and ECC is really pushing on that. People want to be able to move to the cloud, whether that's SaaS applications or Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. People are looking to automate. RPA is a huge next generation buzzword. So RPA and artificial intelligence are kind of going together to be able to understand business processes on the go and be able to automate, tiresome, error-prone workflows. So, basically to be able to read purchase orders from an email and automatically enter it into the EBS system, things of that nature. And of course, as more and more we look to modernize systems or maybe move off of systems to the cloud, how do we continue with this hybrid system? How do we allow for data that's in the cloud to, automate on-premise applications, or how do they share data online and in a synchronized way? And basically today's session, we're going to achieve, we're going to talk about how to achieve all these lofty goals. Next slide.
So before you next slide and show us how you do it, I just want to take one of the points that you made on the previous slide where you said that the difficulties of moving to cloud applications around people's customizations. Inoapps and myself, we do this a lot. I've worked with lots of customers who have moved to cloud, and where their customizations are around what I would call back office functions, finance functions, HR functions, they are very, very straightforward, if at all necessary, when you move to cloud. All of those things tend to be either standard functionality, not required, or configurable in cloud. Where a customization is needed for an organization and isn't in cloud is normally where you are closer to the business. So a manufacturing company that has added forms around their particular products or their particular processes, or where something's happened in projects because they're a professional services organization and they've added additional logic or data to what they're capturing in their billing modules. So it's more about, to me, the ones that require more thought and most likely to leave you in this, I want to stay in eBusiness Suite, is where the customizations are industry or organization specific rather than just I've enhanced the way that I pay an invoice or something. Okay, right. So
yeah, for sure. We could also see it in which modules of SaaS have been, readily gaining popularity. Like, I know almost all of my customers now are using HCM Cloud, right, for the HR functionalities, which most of the time are pretty standard across organizations, where they have manufacturing still on premise. So a lot of people could also mix and match. It's not like a one size fits all, as you were saying.
Yeah, coexistence is something that we see every day. Yeah. Okay, so what we want now then is for you to show us what it is that Auraplayer does, and then we'll talk about how that can help in this modernization.
Yeah, so here I'm going to talk about three kind of use cases that we've done with customers in the forms area. One is with Jubilee Life Insurance. Basically, they used to have a process whereby if people wanted to change branches or change any data, they had to literally send a snail mail, an envelope with the changes to the branch, and it used to take, a few days to a week. And what they did instead was they created an email with a chatbot. Her name is Shayna. And they literally created a virtual agent. So she's a virtual DBA. People could send her emails saying, I forgot my password. I'm locked out of my account. I ran a report that's going over. Can you kill my session? And basically, you send emails directly to her, and she's able to automate Oracle forms and database stored procedures just via email. Now they've even extended it to WhatsApp as well. So literally people are chatting in WhatsApp and running Oracle forms on the WebLogic server. So it's the same business process. It's just running from a different front end. And they're constantly adding more and more functionalities and features. And Shayna just got a new makeover and hairstyle and all the rest. They celebrated her birthday. So it really becomes something that is, very ingrained in the organization, these type of capabilities, because once you're able to bring the things that are trapped in the forms to the forefront, you see all of a sudden how much appetite other people have. The next application that people have been really excited about is doing iExpense. So iExpense are one of the screens that were actually modernized by Oracle to OAF pages. However, if you try to run it on a mobile device, you'll see that it is very, very cumbersome to do the scrolling, to do the inserts and updates. It's really suitable for desktop, but not for mobile applications. So here we have a customer that, an example of a customer who literally took their iExpense applications and made it available on the mobile, as well as expense approvals. So people could literally get their EBS work list on the go. And they were very excited because people in the airports, you know, waiting rooms, etc., could approve expenses like online from the back office application. So not only from a look and feel perspective is it much more modern, but it's easier to enter the expenses, to save drafts, to scan the receipts or upload the receipts from a photo directly into your phone and enter the expense on the go. When you're at dinner already, you could take a photo of the receipt and upload it. You don't have to collect everything and go back to a desktop to enter it. And finally, Oracle Forms automation. We have a lot of people now doing you know, either monthly scheduled automations for things like opening and closing journal periods, things that are customer-related automations, like creating an invoice for purchase order. A lot of people are scanning in PDF purchase orders to create reconciliations. So there's a lot of exciting things happening. And again, all of these people stayed with Oracle e-Business Suite. They stayed with Oracle Forms. The version has to be 10G and up, but the Oracle Forms is running only as a back end with a back end capability on WebLogic Server without the front end. The front end is now the new chat, mobile, or automation.
Brilliant. I was talking to one customer and I gave them that example that you said about closing periods, opening new periods, etc. And they said, well, we're a school, we have one set of books and you know, one calendar. And I said, yes, but there are plenty of global organizations that might have 60, 100 sets of books. And if that's all done centrally, that's something that you would love RPA for.
No, definitely. So when we start talking about automation, you'll see that the market is kind of very saturated with tons of tools that say they do automation, right? There's QA automation, there's database automation, there's a lot of automation tools that say they support Oracle. But what are the real challenges that we see in these tools when we're trying to automate Oracle? The first thing is basically the way a lot of these tools work is by doing something called screen scraping. What they do is they find the position of the element on the screen and they log that particular area for playback. Unfortunately, what this means is that to do a playback of the automation, they need the canvas, they need the front end running on a virtual desktop. So for Oracle e-Business Suite, we know that that is not exactly the best mode of operating because of the Java applet, which could be very heavy and cumbersome. We don't want to have, you know, hundreds of desktops open to be able to run the automation. So some of these common challenges is, like we said, firstly, the difficulty in maintaining these stable and robust automations. A lot of times EBS has pop-ups, patches that it needs, upgrades, which tend to move the elements on the screen. And then also with other organizations, with other products, the bots tend to get stuck. Another big thing is the difficulty in capturing the workflows. In traditional RPA tools, you literally need to point and click and select each field one by one and enter it into their development tool. This is causing, you know, a lot, it's way more cumbersome because with EBS, as we know, there could be hundreds of fields. So with the Auraplayer solution, we have a recording toolbar that allows you to just walk through your EBS application, click on the fields that you'd like to be output fields, enter data in the fields that you'd like to be input fields. And we also provide for instant real-time error handling. We send back any status bar messages, pop-up messages, or error messages that the form receives. And these scripts can be moved between environments very easily in a parameterized way. So these type of automations are being used and could be triggered from any next generation Oracle or other tool, which Deborah is going to go a little further into in a minute. So there's really three approaches to Oracle RPA with Auraplayer. One is called the Oracle Bot Builder, and this is using our recording toolbar. We play the EBS application or the forms application on the right-hand side. Every action we do is recorded to the left-hand side. All of the functionality, the input fields, the output fields, the button press, the key, the F keys, etc. And it creates a REST API, a Swagger page, as well as the automation that can be plugged in. So it could either be run from Auraplayer, triggered by email or triggered by a scheduler or run by the dashboard. Or we could plug into third-party tools such as Automation Anywhere, UiPath, Microsoft, or Blue Prism. And in addition, we have what we call our Oracle Instabots, which are actually pre-packaged common use cases that other people have done based on best practices that you could map to your own e-business suite for the ability of basically kickstarting the whole process and making it much quicker, getting you to automation quicker. Next slide. So this is the process capture toolbar. We don't have time for a demo today because we're covering a lot of ground, but if anybody wants to see a demo, my email will be at the end, or you could talk to Deborah and we would be happy to show you. But basically how it works, as you could see on the right-hand side is the EBS application. On the left-hand side is our toolbar that captures button presses, inputs, key presses, output fields, etc. And then saves it as a REST service. Once we have that REST service, next slide, we then put it all together to orchestrate using our RPA flow diagrammer. So this is a user-friendly, no-code way of building complex integrations between the different workflows you've recorded. So it could be you record a login step, and then if the login is successful, you move on to the create order header. If it's not successful, you give an error message or start the process again. Next, if the order header has been successful, you could do conditions. The positive condition, you could loop through all the rows and add it to the order header. If there's a problem, you can give an error message. So it literally allows you to map out, with conditions, with loops, with emails, with writing to files, with reading from files, and more. Next slide. So here we have some common use cases for automation. We talked a lot about creating sales orders and purchase orders, but you could also do it directly from CSV. We had a customer who was getting Excel files from their top customers and able to insert all the sales orders in batch using automation. We had another customer that was adding new vendors by pulling information from email. So they would get all the signature information and pull it in. We could create sales orders directly from email, whether that's using data or using attachments, creating pay slips. So they could automatically generate and email the final pay slips to employees that are terminated. Changing responsibilities. We could send notifications to managers to do all these different types of change requests. We could also create what we call attended RPA for an approvals process, where managers could approve any type of requests on their mobile device. We talked a little bit about adding journal lines from email attachments or opening and closing journal periods. And this is just a sample. of, you know, things that could be achieved.
So how do I see what Mia has talked to us about? So the capturing tool creates a REST API. And we said right at the very beginning that there are few of those in eBusiness Suite, and they certainly don't exist around things that you've customized. So if you've customized your forms to include additional objects, additional processes, this tool can generate an API on that as well. So anything that Oracle's delivered plus anything that you've added to it. And then that allows us to use that API for multiple different things. And I think this is the diagram that I use, the picture that I use to try and explain this. So if you think of a vehicle as the API, the process is to get through the toll booth, right? But it can do that in many different ways. It can go through, you know, pay by cash, pay by card, you know, a Bluetooth connector that sees it. There are different things that you can use that API for, but you're going to get the same answer, is that we've gone through that process of going through the toll booth. So Mia talked about different areas that could be used, and, you know, just let's think about those again. So the idea of a much more modern way of showing the data. And Apex is a very common way of doing this. And I've seen some great examples of where customers have extended their applications with Apex, where they've written something based on tables, but then when they want to, especially when they want to put data in, it's much easier to do it this way with an API. So, you know, it just looks so much easier for a customer to see in an Apex form rather than the traditional OAF or forms. Also, if I'm talking to customers who are in their roadmap, they are looking to go to cloud applications, but not in the near future. So they have an intention of doing something in a few years' time. There tends to be a mantra there that they're not going to do any development now, which is going to make that move even more difficult. But modernizing some of their processes into standalone Apex apps that they then run from EBS means that they may then be able to, with a bit of tweaking, use that in cloud as well. So it's quite a common thing to see people looking to move towards Apex. Just some more examples here, just so much easier on the eye and easier for users to understand what they're seeing. Nowadays, I get asked the question, should I be using Apex or should I be using Visual Builder? Now, some people think of Visual Builder because it's the technology that the SaaS is written in, it's not relevant for eBusiness Suite, but actually Visual Builder is. It can be used for any standalone application. It doesn't need to be, it doesn't have to be a SaaS application. But it's up to you. They, excuse me, they are both modern tools. There is nothing happening that says that Apex is going to be deprecated. In fact, completely the opposite. Larry Ellison has committed to Apex Future by making it the low code of choice for the Cerner healthcare applications. So both of these, depending on your road mapping, what your organization wants, what skills you have, both of these are capable of being used, and both of them will use APIs. So both of these work beautifully well with what Mia has been showing us. And actually, I'm on the board of ODTUG, which looks after the development and technology within Oracle, and we are really promoting the how to extend your applications. And so if you want to understand more about Apex or Visual Builder, then, you know, come and join us in Nashville. in the summer. We had great debates over the Apex versus Visual Builder last year. It was very interesting to hear from different organisations and what was helping them with their decisions. Mia also mentioned digital assistants. You know, again, digital assistants didn't exist when EBS was written, but we see them everywhere today, and we understand, and people are much more comfortable with their use. So again, that API that's generated can be used with Oracle's digital assistant, and Oracle's digital assistant can in turn be used with, like Mia mentioned, WhatsApp, Teams, all of the different ways that we work together, that we collaborate in our organisations. So again, another great use case for using these APIs that have been generated. The example, she gave an example around sales order, but here just this, it's just collecting information from the screen. So you talk to the bot, you ask it questions, and it goes off to that API that brings the information back when you would do a query about that sales order. So bringing that information to the digital assistant. Another example here around mobile. So time and labor, that's one that people, you know, a lot of people now don't sit at a desk all day. Either their job requires them to be mobile or they're working from home, and we're just more comfortable with mobile apps. If you think about it, some people's only logging in to EBS is to do their time and labor, or is to do just one process, expenses. So why not have that as a mobile app, so they don't have to worry about yet another application, just something that they can do on their mobile devices. So this is our expenses. So I think, you know, I've known Mia for a few years. I've ignored for a long time what she was doing because I didn't think it was relevant to what I was doing. But actually, once I understood what was happening, and that then the magic is that, you know, whilst collecting that data about what we're doing in the back end of EBS, we're generating an API that can be used either for the robotic processing that it was intended for, or to be used by any of these modern development technologies that we have, be that Apex, Visual Builder, mobile, digital assistant, any of the things that we're using, we can bring our EBS systems to life with these more modern ways of working. So, you know, what should you be doing? You know, what do we think you should do? Look at what you've got, right? If you're road mapping, and I think you should have a strategic roadmap for the next 2 to 3 years and beyond, what are you planning to do? If staying with eBusiness Suite fits in your roadmap, then what can you do today with your eBusiness Suite that will increase your revenue, or promote your corporate efficiency? How can you get more value today out of your investment? What is it that you want? Is it around UI? Is it around, you know, are you going to be, I've got one customer who's done a lot of work with Apex for their manufacturing shop floor, right? Then that's not somewhere where you see a large number of desktop PCs. They have one big screen in the corner, and it's telling them the next things that are going to be in their manufacturing process. Do you understand your existing system? You know, I spend a lot of time helping customers understand what customizations they've created. Will they be needed if they eventually move to cloud? And if they will still be needed, what's the right way to create them? And this is one way that you can start that conversation. Determine your timeline and your budget. I met with one of Mia's customers who had a very urgent need to do something in mobile. they purchased her tool, very cost effective for that one use case, and then got very excited about all of the other things that they could do and actually needed reining in because they wanted to start, oh, we can run it on this, we can run it on that. It's where is the value there for your organization? Do a proof of concept. I love proof of concepts. I love to be able to see what can you do in a proof of concept. You can fail quickly and have another go, and when you're ready with what it is that you need to do, then go ahead and decide on what that final method might be. It might be that you think it should be a chat bot, but actually you'd be better with a mobile app or whatever, you know, but have a look
quickly.
Sorry? What did you
Or
say?
succeed quickly. We have people that complete proof of concepts and want to put it in production before we even, before they bought the tool.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great point. So what we've done today here is we've tried to look at, why might you want to do this? Why is this suddenly important? So, eBusiness Suite isn't going away. If your strategic roadmap is that you are staying there for the short term or the longer term, then what else can you do for your organization that will bring you additional benefits from your not insubstantial investment in eBusiness Suite? This is one way that you can do that more easily. Take what the system does today, either delivered by Oracle or customized by you, and look at some more modern ways of interacting with systems. And Mia's tool gives us that ability to do it easily. All modern development tools require APIs, REST APIs from a system. And what this is doing is giving us very easy access to generate those APIs, which we can then consume in the development tool or tools of our choice to make our systems more modern and more beneficial for our organizations. So, Janie, who's running this webcast, do we have any questions, Janie?
We have a couple of questions, and people, there's still time to put questions in the question tab in your menu. The first one's for Mia. Does this approach work if you're running EBS on OCI?
Yes. So basically, or the Oracle EBS system could be running on premise or could be running in a cloud server. Auraplayer itself is a web server. It's installed on either Tomcat or WebLogic, and it could be installed either on premise or in an OCI environment as well. Another exciting thing that we've done is we've actually connected to Oracle Integration Cloud. So we now have an adapter in Oracle Integration Cloud to be able to run the REST services through that platform to be able to do orchestration and hybrid cloud with ease.
That's really interesting. I didn't understand that. I didn't know that last point, Mia, that you now had an adapter for OIC. I'm working with a customer at the moment that uses a lot of the edge applications within Oracle, like transportation management and WMS and EBS, and that they're using OIC for all of that coexistence. So the idea that they could just plug this into OIC would be very interesting.
Yeah, so it's hot off the press. We're the first partner actually that's built an adapter using Oracle came up with something called a rapid adapter framework. And basically they could search for Auraplayer under the list of adapters and download it in. And then they merely have to put the link of the Auraplayer server that they have in their procurement or their environment.
So that's now sitting in the OIC store then?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Fantastic.
Yeah. It's in the OIC store, and then people could literally just put the URL of their Auraplayer environment, and they could see the list of REST services and they could pull it in. It'll have automatically allow them to map the fields, the input fields and output fields, using the OIC mapper. So yeah, it's very exciting new development. And if anybody's interested, I could send a video of that as well. We have it on our, we have a page on our website for OIC integration, as well as a video on how it works.
Fantastic. Janie, did you have another question?
Yeah, we've got one more question. Why not just move to Fusion SaaS to modernize your e-business suite? And that one's for Deborah, I think.
So I think I've covered that, but I think to me, it's going back to that road mapping, right? It depends. It's a great Oracle answer to everything. It depends, but it really is. Where is your organization today? What's your strategy? What are you trying to achieve? The presentation that I did last year, I'm going to rerun it quite soon, is about the things to consider. It doesn't give you an answer, because how can it give an answer? Each organization is different. I've got organizations that, you know, we go through that process and they say, right, we've a strategy to move to cloud, we want to do this, and so it's the organization that's driving them. I believe that a move to cloud really needs to be a transformation. It shouldn't just be, oh, I want, it's a very expensive way to modernize. There has to be more value to you than just a new UI, and it has to be transformation. I think Mia said at the beginning, we see a lot of people who are running HCM in the cloud because that gave them lots of new functionality, but because they weren't changing anything in their financials, or they were deep into manufacturing, which was less mature in SaaS. I think, again, that's something that each organization has to determine for themselves. But, you know, in those areas, they weren't going to get the value of moving unless it was a transformation. So, you know, I'd love to have that conversation with any organization. I spend a lot of my time talking to organizations about what that roadmap should be. But we are seeing more and more now that EBS customers are planning to move to cloud applications, but they're not going to do it in the short term. It's going to be 3-5 years before they start that project, but they don't want to stand still. But they want to do that modernization or that additional value from their investment. They want to do that with an eye on the future. And I think this is one way of doing that in a cost-effective way.
Yeah, what's very interesting also is more and more, I think that people in the financial area and HCM area are moving to the SaaS-based solutions. I think it really depends on the repeatability of the processes, and they're seeing a lot of value in that. I still see not so much movement in the manufacturing area, like we mentioned, where people have very heavy customizations and not a lot of time to even sit and define and design, you know, what's needed from a SaaS perspective.
And, you know, I said that right at the very beginning. When we look at customizations, the ones that are the most necessary are the ones that are closer to what the organization's business is. So manufacturing would come under that, or in an industry. You know, we do a lot with construction, with energy, and they have very specific requirements which aren't covered by the standard products. And so those customizations, although we provide the answer as a coexistence rather than a customization, that's the sort of things that will slow down someone's decision to go to cloud. And so they still want to get Or also we see people who've got a multi-year transformation, and whilst they're still using EBS today and they're rolling out globally SaaS different areas at a time, there's still things that they want to be able to do today. They don't want to stand still. So all things are possible, all things are true. That's why it's very important to start with what's right for your organization.
Right. Another thing that's very important is not to purchase SaaS and try to turn it into on-premise. I've seen a lot of...
That's a whole other webcast, Mia. Yeah, absolutely. If that's what you think you want to do, then probably the answer is a cloud platform. I've seen some big disasters where customers have, that's what they've thought that they've wanted to do.
Yeah, and then they spend like, millions in customizations, and in the end, they go back to where they came from. So but I think that's a good idea for another web session.
Definitely. So I hope that this has been useful. I talk to customers every day about these sort of things, and one of the reasons that we're sharing this webcast today is because I think that the solution that Mia's tool gives us just facilitates what a lot of customers want to do today with their e-business suite. So my details are on the screen. Just reach out if anyone's got any more questions, or if they'd like to talk to us, or any questions that come up, just reach out to us. And if you're interested, we can help you with any part of that process. So thank you very much for your time.